Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It is great to see you. Happy Friday. Sorry it took me so long to get this up. I completely forgot that I had to post the advertisement, but you knew I was coming, right? You knew, and you made your way here. Thank you so much. I got it in when I got back from doing my hosting of my Friday group. So definitely on the late side. You know me, it's a little bit crazy right here. Heidi. It is late over there. Holy mackerel, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's definitely up. It's way after midnight. Great to see you. Welcome back. Oh, good. Thank you. Oh, you watched the thing on Tigger. That's great. Yeah, you know what? And we're doing that tonight. We're covering the book that I got the other day when I was out at the Ordinary Extraordinary Women by Liz Alpert Faye exhibit at the Silvermine Gallery. It is now closed. It was only open for a week, so that was about a week ago. I went, if you remember that video appeared on Tigger, and I also shared it on our Facebook group, which is Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. And that's what we're talking about tonight. It was a life-changing exhibit for me. It was an absolute game changer, looking at the kind of work that she's been doing for 20 years to get this exhibit together. Just crazy. And Haley did a great job editing that video too. It was so much fun. So many things to tell you. I'm crashing. It's not the right time to crash, is it? Feeling like, I'm going to take a nap for a second. No, I'm not. We're going to have some fun, and then I'm going to go to bed early. That sounds even better. Melissa, great to see you. Welcome back. And Cheryl, great to see you on the Cape having your wine. There's butterflies. There's a tropical cactus. That sounds perfect. Melanie, great to see you in sunny Washington. You're getting some good weather. Diane, great to see you. Hello to you too. April, I need to write back to you. I found some choices for you. I just ran out of time this morning before I had to shoot out the door, but I have some Halloween choices for you. So I'm excited about that because I love the last piece that you did. And Karen, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, with a glass of wine and thunderstorms. Ooh, brewing in Black Forest, Colorado. I like the way that sounds. A glass of wine and thunderstorms. Ooh, that is nice, isn't it? Oh yeah. And Mom, there you are. Great to see you. Hello, hello. So glad to be with you too. We were together today. I'll tell you about our day. We had a great day. Happy cocktail time. I've got a shake. I've got a fruit shake, a fruity tooty, like with bananas and stuff. It's so good. I always think I'm not in the mood for a shake, and that, like, because I just ate dinner, I'm satisfied with food. And then there's a shake near my face, and the straw is like near my mouth, and I'm like, and it's always like ice cream. It's so good. It's a healthy shake. The question is, was I hungry and didn't I need it? And the answer is no to both. But since it got near me, yeah, I'm drinking it. So that is my cocktail for tonight. Wendy, great to see you. It is hot in Western Pennsylvania. It is really hot here too. It's this weird thing this summer, because you know how I love to complain about heat, and cold, and I have to admit, it is terribly hot. It's awful, but I do feel like this is the first year in many years that the spring was really spring, summer is really summer. Curious to see how fall and winter are going to go for us. I'd like to see a long, colorful fall, and then I'd like to see a hell of a lot of snow, and I'd like to go sledding 10 times at least. So we'll see what we get. But so far, the year has started out incredibly, all weather and global warming, considered. It is kind of maybe a fluke that this year, at least, we're getting season appropriate weather for each season. It's like terribly hot in the summer, absolutely beautiful in the spring, hoping for a beautiful fall. It's just ironic because I kind of thought moderate weather was over, like permanently. And yeah, it's terribly hot. But yeah, I kind of can take it because I feel like we had such a long spring for a change. First one in ages. So strange. But yeah, it was like at 90 today. In fact, I went over to Friday's my group at the church. So if you're ever around Hartford, I go there on Friday with our group. My mom's there. A bunch of the buddies come, different people each time. And today was different and a lot of fun because I went because a new buddy called, Jeannie, and she called to say from a nearby town here in Connecticut, she called to ask when my shop was open. And of course, I don't have a shop. I just have I have my um, the playroom, the children's playroom is filled with stuff, and this is my current studio while we figure out moving and navigate this whole thing. So, yeah, so it's not a shop at all. And I hate saying I don't have a shop because I love to meet people in person, and particularly when people are local, I like to say yes to stuff. I'd much rather say yes than no. So I explained that I don't really have a shop, and she said that she inherited a lot of wool from her sister who passed away a couple years ago, and her sister was a rug hooker, but Jeannie is a quilter. And I said, oh, you know what? You should come to the Friday thing that I do because it's every Friday. Won't be next Friday though because Rebecca from Storyteller Wool is arriving like late night Thursday, and for a couple of days we're going to be in Newport doing Tigger stuff, like sorting that out once and for all. So I won't be with you next Friday either because Friday's a blackout day. I will record video for you, but we'll be doing it from Newport, so not a traditional show on Friday. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so I said to Jeannie, I said, why don't I swing by and pick you up on the way to the church, and you can bring the stuff that you got from your sister, and I'll bring a cutter, and I've got some frames and stuff like that. So that's what we did. Joss wanted to come with me today too, so I swung by and I picked Jeannie up, and Jeannie had such a pretty place. It was such an inspiration because both Jeannie just moved, and she moved from like an early Victorian farmhouse kind of a thing, and antiques all over the place, and you just very, you know, just right. Everything just right. Just everything the way she wanted. She's been living there for 50 years, and she wanted to move closer to her family and her kids, and so she moved to a town that's a lot closer, but it's not known for its historic towns houses. So she ended up getting something that looks more like a split, which is a great style of house. Don't get me wrong, I do love a split. But the way that she has it decorated, oh my God. You'll see it soon because I'm going to do some photographs and stuff. I'm going to photograph some of her quilts, and she's going to put together an article for Magpie with the quilting theme. It looks like a quilt store in there. It really does. I am like, I look at my rug cooking stuff and I'm like, yeah, there might be a problem here. And I'm not saying that Jeannie has a problem because it's not like a mess like my stuff is. It's like a store. Like everything is beautiful. I mean, there's already, right? She hasn't been there that long. Quilts hanging everywhere. So many quilts. Her big long arm, everything just so. Her husband John opened up a closet, and it was like a store. There were bolts of quilt fabric, like just in there to choose from. Well lit closet. It was like, whoa. It was such an inspiration because, and then we went upstairs to her living room, and I mean, it was like a contemporary kind of a house, or like a split, like a 70s era house. Um, Yet you went upstairs and it was like fireplace has quilts over it, braided carpets on the rug, right? 'Cause she's getting into hooking now, and everywhere you look was like quilts upon quilts, primitive stuff. All of her sisters' primitive hooked rugs, like birds and stars and things. It was like it was like a staged movie or something. Like it was like if a movie had a scene with a quilt shop, and it would be like staged in Jeannie's place. It was absolutely beautiful, pretty painted, like gold painted walls. Like everything looked so country and primitive and amazing. And I was so happy to see it because, of course, we just bought a house that's 1960. Now I was thinking like 1660, like 1760. How about a little earlier? So for me, it was like, I had to let go of the dream of having a colonial house because we just were not finding an old house close to the center of a town where other people who don't drive can walk. So, yeah. So it was a great inspiration because I thought, well, if Jeannie moved into a split and she can make it look like this, then when we move, I can make our new place look like an early American house with just like craft heaven. So it was absolutely beautiful. It was such a good time, and she had such a good time there. Um, I drew like one design just out on burlap for her. I think it's Scottish burlap, so it was nice. It was more like linen, with like a star and a bunch of lamb's tongues around it, just simple. And she started hooking that. She finished the star in the time that we were there. It looked absolutely gorgeous. And then I did a second one for her because she's getting hip surgery, so she's going to be out for a while, and we won't see her for at least a few weeks, if not months. And so yeah, so I did a second one with like a bird and a little heart, like a string with a heart and some hearts in the background. She loves them both. They're super primitive. So she's going to be working on those, and she doesn't have a cutter yet. And stupidly, I brought my number 5 Bliss, and because she loves primitive, she needs more like an 8. I should have brought my Sizzix. Dang it. So I did have a bunch of pre-cut wool there. So she took some of that, which was perfect. But she has a bunch of wool from her sister. So she's going to use her rotary cutter to cut strips that are a bit more primitive sized. And yeah, she's going to get herself ready to be seated and laying down for a long time while she recovers. And she's going to have these 2 great rug hooking projects to work on. So that was great. And it was great that she came into the group because it's such nice people in the group. So nice. It really was. Oh, where'd my glasses go? It really was really good time. It went by in a snap as usual. Jessica, great to see you. Jessica, I almost sent you a message the other day because I was going through texts that you sent me. And I just wanted to say to you, thank you so much for every time you send me text for anything. Not that anyone in particular is bad at this. I know I am, but not, and none of you. But every time you send me text for something that I need, it is perfect. Like I have to send everything to my mom to proof me because I make 100 errors in one sentence. My brain works the way that my mouth works, and I'm all over the place. And there's always so many errors. Jessica, you send text to me, and it is like, I mean, I don't even have to forward it. I always do, just routinely. I always have at least one other person check me. But your stuff is always perfect. So I think that is a commendable state of affairs. You are like meticulously great with language and grammar. Amazing. April, okay, great on the choices. Yeah, I have a few choices. And of course, I can always do another one if none of them strike you. And Joy, great to see you. Happy Friday and welcome back. Linda, happy Friday. It's the weekend in Jersey. Welcome back. It's great to see you. Sharon, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Storms last night. Oh, man, but beautiful day today. Okay, great. Goretti, great to see you. Welcome back. Oh, I'm happy you're there in Ontario. Marcia, great to see you from sunny Cleveland. Ooh, with a refreshing mojito. Oh, now I don't want this shake so much, this smoothie. I would like a mojito too. That sounds amazing. Joe, great to see you. Happy Friday. You were babysitting your grandson. I know you can't come every time because it is a ways away. I know you have grandchildren duty, and that is even better. So happy to see you. So happy to see all of you. So let me take one quick sip, and then let's think. I'm just thinking about what I need to tell you. Before I forget, the Design Light class is coming up on Sunday. So I will be back with you on Sunday. If you're signed up, I hope that you're signed up for Design Like the Cahoons. Who are the Cahoons? I've never heard of the Cahoons. You've seen the Cahoons. They are the husband and wife team, 20th century. They both, he died in the 80s. She died, I think, in 2000 or 1999, something like that. They were Cape Cod artists collected by every sort of celebrity, collected by a lot of fashion designers, weirdly. Jackie Kennedy, lots of famous collectors collected the Cahoons, made them really desirable. Mostly mermaid scenes, nautical scenes. They did lots of very graphic artwork, not out of copyright. So we are designing like them, looking at their motifs, looking at their beautiful life story, and the sort of trajectory of going from being furniture painters to being fine artists in galleries in Manhattan. And what a whirlwind life they had with their mermaids. So that was their meal ticket, was their mermaids. We're doing more than mermaids, but I'm going to show you a lot of their tricks, and we're going to work on some compositions together. So the Design Like classes are for people who have always drawn and consider themselves tremendous artists, and they are also for people who have never drawn and consider themselves terrible artists. It is for both, right? Because you end up drawing something according to your ability and how you're feeling that day, right? You don't get the best out of yourself every day. It doesn't work like that, does it? So if you're in a good place and all the stars are aligned, you might do some stuff that you think, yes, but I bet you're going to at least do some sketches that you'll return to later and say, yep, I know what I'm doing here. I'm on to something, and this is going to make a great original rug design, especially for summer. So I hope that you'll be with me on Sunday night. The link to Design Like the Cahoons should be in the description of this video. It is certainly on the front page of the ribboncandyhooking.com website. It's there for you. So you can sign up for that. The class is recorded if you aren't able to make it in person. You get everything, all the same materials. The live recording that you can watch anytime just for people who sign up for the class. And also it's like a 65-page PowerPoint that I did that you can hold on and sketch along with. So it's a long presentation to look at, and the recording is there for you. So it doesn't matter when you watch it, when you buy the class, it's there from now until hopefully Kingdom Come, right? So let's see. Marsha and Karen, looking forward to the class. Me too. Myra, cheers, my dears in Virginia. Great to see you. Sharon, it's so much fun. It really is so much fun getting together and doing these classes. And it is always, I would say, people always surprise themselves, because even people, wait till, I'm going to say something awful. Wait till you see Martha Cahoon's sketches. All I'm going to say, I mean, she, famous artist like her husband more famous, of course. It is a man's world after all. She did slightly different works, still mermaids, but her sketches, I'm going to say it, are not good. And yet, the finished project, amazing. And it works the same way for us. Sometimes your sketch on a cocktail napkin, for me, on Post-it notes, almost all my sketching happens on Post-it notes, with the exception of that great pad that I bought. Usually most things happen this big, and I blow them up and I go, it's just what I wanted. I change my line drawings very little for rug hooking, because and I know I've said this before, but maybe you're new. The reason I often sketch on cocktail napkins is because I'm in a bar and I'm having a beer. The reason I often sketch on Post-it notes is because it's small. And I know I do pieces that are maybe like on average 22, 24 inches kind of thing, sometimes 18, right? Something like that. So not huge, but not small either. And I know that if I sketch something this big for rug hooking, because I'm not a fine hooker, I'm not a number 2 hooker, I'm like a number 8 hooker, somewhere between 6 and 8. So if I make something like this and the lines are great, when I blow it up to be 18, 20, 22, it's going to be perfect for rug hooking. If I make it any more busy than that, I'm going to have a problem with my wider cut. I know I will, because Mama has played this game so many times thinking it's going to come out different. Definition of insanity, right? I've done this way too many times. Now I know I have to keep my sketches really simple, because you know this too. Once you start hooking it, it takes on a life of its own. And you think you've got all your colors laid out, and there they are. And then you see one across the room and it's a plaid, and you think, oh, wait a minute. How can I work that in? And then it's a pig's breakfast, isn't it? You start working in all this stuff you didn't plan to work in, and getting ideas as you go along. And your piece, no matter how simple the lines are, becomes quite complex and interesting, right? So yeah, so we're keeping it simple in these classes. But if you are already a great artist, you're going to draw some really solid sketches. And then either in class or later on when you're feeling it, you're going to go back and say, okay, ooh, and I'm a fine hooker, I'm a number 3 hooker, I'm going to add a lot of surface to the waves, or I'm going to add a figurehead to the boat, or whatever, you know. But it's these classes are designed for people of all abilities, including no ability, to be able to be really successful at sketching. And I'm confident about that. So let's see. Sandy, oh Sandy, great to see you. Alternating between being steamy and wet. So you've got plenty of humidity, don't you? And so happy Friday to you too. Looking forward to the class. Me too. Gail, good morning in Australia. I bet it's chilly over there. Winter for you over there, all topsy-turvy world. Oh man, great to see you. So 2 weeks ago now, Haley called and said, you know, let's go to this exhibit because it's only a week. And I thought, oh man, could the timing be worse? And when it's only a week, it's only a week. So she drove up from Rhode Island, and of course her studio is loop by loop in Warren, Rhode Island. And she came up and we drove, she picked me up, which was nice. I was in the passenger seat. And we rode over to New Canaan, Connecticut, the Silvermine Gallery that hosted this incredible exhibit of Liz Alpert Faye's work, an exhibit she's been working on for over 20 years that's called ordinary, extraordinary women. And I'll tell you, just walking into the beginning of the exhibit and seeing the name of it like this, ordinary, extraordinary women, like, it just made me think, I mean, that's everybody, isn't it? Everybody is a bit ordinary at home, but I bet everybody has done extraordinary things and been extraordinary in some way or another. And I just thought, ooh, this is going to be great. It's going to hit me right in the heartstrings because I just love talking about the lives of women. And I love talking about our stories because we work differently than, I'm not being sexist, I'm never being sexist. I love men, but we work differently than men. We are a different species, right? It's like we're still humans, but somehow we are like from another, Mars and Venus, right? So I love hearing stories about how other women have found their way, made their way, carved out their own way. Some people do it just effortlessly with a lot of help that comes easy, or is there a silver spoon type, born with a silver spoon in your mouth kind of thing, or you're lucky and you go from lily pad to lily pad and you make this wonderful life. Other people literally have to crawl across the ground on the by their fingernails, scratching their way as they go to get from one place to the next and get anything to happen for them. And unfortunately, I think most people fit into that last category, and I'm certainly included in that category. But it is so nice to see and to learn about other women and what their lives have been like. And they are all ordinary women, right? They're all women you would pass on the street and smile at, but not think, oh, I wonder if she was famous. Oh, I wonder if she's very rich, right? They just look like normal women, but they have had extraordinary lives and they have done great things. And sometimes part of the sort of holiness of one's life is doing great things quietly. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like the Stephen Sondheim song, there won't be trumpets. Sometimes there aren't trumpets and fanfare. Sometimes there's not even money that gets paid to you in return for the great thing that you're doing with your life, right? But that was a bit autobiographical right there. I didn't mean for that to happen, but it's true. For me, I think the most important, and I just said this to Shay, who I was just with for our get together at the church today, our Friday thing. I just said to her, I think the most important thing, in my mind at least, besides obviously being a mother, is building community. Because for me, when I have a solid community around me here, and on Fridays there, when you are in the habit of building community, even when you have to deal with people who are pains in the ass, we know how many of those are out there, right? It is a numbers game. There's lots, but you still have to include them and deal with them and try to love them, right? Because this is life, right? This is reality. So doing community stuff and creating spaces for other people, for a lot of people, replaces therapy. Right? For me, it has. It replaces therapy. It gets you on a good, solid footing for your life, for what you mean to do. It gives you, having community around you gives you backup and a sort of structure, a web to fall back into if things start slipping in the wrong direction, as they have a way of doing. And when I saw this exhibit, I just thought, wow, she's picked a lot of women who this is the story of their life, right? Different occupations, that people have different names, they're different ages, but this is something they have in common. They have built these amazing lives that involve other people, and they have created like a unique unicorn world where other people can visit and be part of and cross over into. And then we get all these orbits crossing, and they're all positive and they're all inspiring. And walking into this exhibit with these hooked rugs that were like, I mean, I'm 5'2". These rugs were probably, I would say, maybe it has a sizes, I would say 8 feet or more, maybe more, much bigger for me than real life. Enormous. Just walking into these rooms with these women's faces and then reading their stories on the plaque was an amazing experience. And I think even more amazing because none of them were like nuclear physicists, Nobody had developed some kind of cure. You'll see, they all were ordinary women that had created an extraordinary life for themselves. And when Liz encountered these people in the course of her travels and her work, you know, where she lives, the people that who she met over the 20 years, some of them struck her as people who were extraordinary, right, at second glance. And those are the people who she focused on to create these enormous rugs. They were all enormous rugs. So that's what I want to look at tonight is this book. Let me take one more sip. I have the fan blowing on me, but it's way across the room, so it's a little bit hot in here, but I hope, as usual, that you can't hear the fan. This is one of our summer problems for sure. So, so this is the book. Now, I got really busy this morning because, you know, we're also trying to sell our house, and we got some crazy shake-up news last night. Got all shooken up today, trying to get things back on track. The bottom line is we really need to sell the house in the next week because there was a crazy contract detail that we didn't realize that we only have until like the 17th of June to sell the house, or we're in big trouble. So we're having 2 more open houses this weekend. Fantastic, right? So I didn't have time to do some of the things I wanted to do, but what I really wanted to do, and let me see if I can find it here. What I really wanted to do was figure out how you can buy this book if you want it. You know, I don't see it, so I don't see it in the book. So I would say by the end of the show, so this is $60. The book is $60, right? It's not on Amazon. And it looks like this: Ordinary / Extraordinary Women, Liz Alpert Faye. So it is a limited edition book. It's printed on here. You might not be able to see. It's getting darker. Beautiful, high quality book. Lots of pages. It's over 150 pages. It's all beautiful color, full color, and lots of text. And I'm going to show you the format of the book so you know more about it. But it's basically like if you love biographies or you love short stories, this basically reads like a collection of short stories, but short biography stories about each one of these people. And it's just a beautiful format. It's very different than anything I've seen before. So let's get into it. And I've got some slides for you of some of the rugs in this book. I don't want to show you, obviously, all of them because I know that this exhibit is going to Wisconsin next year. So for sure it'll be out there, and you could be thinking about that because that is already set. And Liz has the details for that. In fact, the details might be on her website. So let me show you her name again in case you want to write it down and go to her website after the show. Right here. And she should have this here. The title of the book should be there under her shop. I think so. And in any case, you can get in touch with her because she has printed copies. Just wondering, I thought originally that the Silvermine Gallery might have printed this book, but I don't think they did. I think she did because it was only there for a week. Yeah, no, it doesn't say anything about that. So, yeah, so that's how you will be able to find her if you want to find her, and that's how much it costs, just so you know the basics of this. Judy says, I think she said it would be up on her website soon. Okay, so soon is good enough. We know that it's soon, and I will remind you. And the thing is, I do hope, and I did speak to her about this, we were kind of brainstorming a little bit, places where the rugs might go or might end up. And because I'm the president of Tigger, of course, I was being a bit of a whatever, and really almost begging for them to go to Tigger. So we'll see how that goes. Tigger is still a ways away. It's October of 2027. I'll have more details for you this weekend because this is the weekend that Rebecca comes. Haley will be there. Naomi will be there. It's too far for Colleen to come up for the weekend. It's just too far for like the one day that we're going to be in Newport. But we're going to work everything out, and I'll come back to you with details for Tigger. We have been putting a lot of content up on Tigger that's unique. And Naomi's about to put up a video on dyeing. I will be doing another Tigger class, and I'll be doing a Tigger gallery night coming up soon. Everybody's going to be pitching in, all 5 of us who have brands who are on the Tigger board. We're all going to be ponying up and putting on different content. So all of that is coming at you. And of course, Haley and I put this video up the other day. So I'm doing a Ben Franklin here, but just because these glasses are easier to see, out of. So let's start with the beginning of the book. And again, because I hope that the exhibit will travel, I don't want to, I'm not showing you all of them, of course. I'm showing you some of them and random ones at that. So she starts off at the beginning of the book with these 4 photos. And the writing is just exquisite. She first says, to my parents for always encouraging and supporting me, especially in my art, and to my family with all my love for everything, and to my other family, the Hookworks group, for many years of fun and friendship, and finally to my grandfather for the gift of storytelling. And I have to say, I love the photos that she puts in here. It's like the Hooksworth group is on top, you can see, and if it comes into focus, I don't know if we're in focus. Sorry, I'm scared I'm going to knock down my drink. Oh, you know what? I think I recognize someone else in that photo. We'll have to see. I recognize Marilyn, who's one of the rugs is made for Marilyn. And I love this photo of her with her grandfather. You can see she's with the braids, and she's sitting off on the far side, really listening to the stories. And so it's a bit romantic and not such a surprise that she would end up years later putting together a book that really is a storytelling book about all these other women. So it's got beautiful photography like this. So just to give you an idea of scale, there were 2 pieces together that were text pieces. I don't know if she showed the other one, but there's 2 together that are that size. It is a monumental work. It is absolutely enormous. Let's see if I can find it. I think, I'm wondering, hold on. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, I don't have this in the slide thing. This isn't one of the chapters I'm doing, but this is for the Sherry Paisley chapter. I'm just going to show you quickly that these 2 hooked pieces with all of those words. Right? Like, we're talking about really large tapestries, right? So if we get out of the habit of thinking about like a hooked rug or a mat, we're talking about rug hooked tapestries at this point in terms of size. Valerie, great to see you. Oh, baby number 9 born this at grandbaby number 9. Valerie, congratulations. That is so exciting. And Mama doing well. Welcome to Sylvia. That is such a sweet old-fashioned name. I love Sylvia. Oh, that is exciting. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for the family. And little Sylvia just starting out. How fun. The world is her oyster today. Oh, so sweet. So, all right, let's see. So I picked some of these women, not because of their stories, just because I was thinking about the video, what was in the video. I was thinking about making sure there were plenty of surprises in this book. Let me read you a little bit, Over the Moon. Let me read you a little bit about the, oh boy, I hope you can't hear Teddy up there losing his mind. The foreword, which is written by Samantha DiTilio, art historian, cross-genre writer, curator. So she's right. Teddy, I'm recording a show.
Hello.
Okay.
Can I say hi?
Yes, guess who's coming?
Did you hear that from upstairs?
Oh yeah, I heard it. Yeah, I did. I think we all heard it. Yep. Come on over.
That wasn't me, I swear.
Oh, was it? Come here. Duck down so you can say hi.
Hey.
Ha 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 ha, Teddy.
Yeah, thank you. Emma.
Valerie's 9th great grandchild was born, and it was a girl. Oh, April, you love that shirt? Oh, come, show. That's the real dog, and look at the shirt. Isn't that funny? You see that's buttons on the shirt, right? That's one of the shirts. Hey, bud. Honey, Mama loves you, honey.
Am I holding him correctly?
Yeah, but we don't need a picture of his, you know what, like, no.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, buttons. There's a bit of a reveal. Sorry about that. That's funny. So I got him that shirt through a site called gecko.com, just so you know. He has one shirt with Pitter Pat, our cat, and he has the one shirt with buttons, and you can choose everything about the shirt. The background, the color of the palm leaves. There's 2 colors of leaves you can choose, and then you just send them a photo of your pet or whatever, and they make this repeat Hawaiian shirt pattern, and it really is a high quality shirt. He's been wearing the Pitter Pat one for like 3 years, and it still looks good. Gecko.com. Oh boy, there's buttons. So in the foreword, Samantha Detilio says, please make him stop. That's not what she said. Beauty can be found in the quiet moments. Okay.
Sorry.
Please make him stop.
Sorry, I'm putting on my shoes and he thinks we're going for a W.
I know, he does think that.
Which I am.
Okay. I'm just going to hold for 1 second before reading Beauty Can Be Found in the Quiet Moments again. Okay. Beauty can be found in the quiet moments between breaths, in the anticipation of the next heartbeat, the springing up of recently matted grass, a baby's sighs. Valerie, is that perfect? The ordinary is thus extraordinary, not through an imbued exceptionalism, but rather because of its commonality. Such is the case for Liz Alpert Faye's series, Ordinary Extraordinary Women, a body of work comprising 16 larger-than-life textile portraits rendered with a traditional rug hooking technique. The series celebrates the value and beauty of every woman's life. Taking as her subject admired artists, friends, and acquaintances, Faye's portraits depict women unknown to her viewers, those apt to be forgotten. By illuminating them through a personal lens in her tapestries and their own accompanying biographies, she honors the women who have walked beside her in her own life, whether physically, intellectually, or aspirationally. And then she taught, it's a much longer foreword. So I'll leave that for you to read. Absolutely beautiful. I do see at the bottom, with a BAA in textile design from Boston University's historically important program in artistry and an exhibition record that spans 30 years, Faye is an apt champion of expanded definitions of fiber art by transforming everyday and often recycled materials into something noteworthy. She prompts us to take note of the extraordinary around us. Very nice. It's more than that, obviously more than that. Introduction, sorry, toilet flushing. There's a bathroom upstairs too, I'll just point out. Introduction, this is by Liz Alpert Faye. It all began on a sunny afternoon in the tiny village of Indian Lake, located in the heart of the Adirondack Mountains of New York State. An invitation arrived to visit 92-year-old Ruth Spring, a naturalist, landscape painter, and organic gardener. Ruth was an inspiration to all who knew her, and my desire to tell the story of that visit and to express my fondness for this remarkable woman led to the creation of my first larger-than-life hooked portrait. It was this portrait that began the catalyst of this body of work, which has been ongoing for the past 20 years. So the introduction also is much longer, but I'm going to move on because if you order this book, you're going to want to read it and sit with it again. So I'm going to bring you to where it all started, Ruth Spring. And there's Ruth. See if I can get her in focus a little bit. What a sweetie, huh? So Ruth Spring, how the series began. A day in the garden with Ruth. Fresh vegetables can be hard to come by in the heart of the Adirondack Mountains. So when we were invited by my relative, Ruth Spring, to visit her organic garden, we jumped at the chance. My daughter Chelsea and I arrived to find Ruth already situated in an upholstered easy chair in the middle of her garden. Ruth had arthritis, so her family members would regularly move the chair from the inside of the house to the garden whenever needed. From that chair, Ruth could oversee and direct the planting, weeding, and harvesting that needed to be done. On this occasion, Ruth instructed us to harvest a variety of vegetables, all the while chatting about this year's best varieties and most useful techniques. As we were finishing up, she said, "Oh, just one more thing, Chelsea, go over there and pick some of those onions. They're just as sweet as apples." We said our goodbyes and hurried to the car, hungry and ready for lunch. I glanced over at Chelsea to make sure she was buckled in and saw tears streaming down her face. A large bite was missing from the onion in her hands. "Ruth lied," she said. Those onions don't taste like apples. Laughing, I left Ruth's that day with an idea. I wanted to tell the story of that special day and to share with others the extraordinary woman who sat so regally in her garden chair. And so the series began. And it's more than that, right? She goes on to tell a longer story. I can see it's about Christmas and a log cabin and gardening, and there's more text about Ruth. And then she puts in a collage of photos. I'll turn on, you know what, let me just turn on the light. I can see that it's getting to be evening fast, isn't it? Hang on while I put this guy on. I was holding off because it makes more heat, but I think I'm all right. I think we're good. Put this over here, and then I'll click it on, and you'll be able to see everything better. Of course, the slides you're going to see just fine, but I know I'm going to hold up some stuff, so might as well do it. There we go. Alrighty, there we go. That's better. So she puts in a collage page like this, with pictures of the person she's, talking about. So she's got a collage in there for Ruth, and then, oh, sorry. There we go. This piece. And this piece is 58 inches by 47 inches. So this one isn't super huge. It is huge, don't get me wrong, it is huge. But some of them are even huger. And this piece is from 2004. It's called Ruth Spring in Her Garden. And then she gives, after some sort of storytelling about Ruth, the piece was also featured in Adirondack Life, the magazine, in 2007. Then she gives like a biography of each person and says, like Ruth Marion Hunt Spring. This is actually by Deborah Starling, a granddaughter. She talks about her being a remarkable woman, descended from early settlers. She lived in the Adirondack Mountains of New York since her birth in 1912. Her childhood was spent in Raquette Lake, marshes and bogs that would later inspire her oil paintings. I wonder if any of her oil paintings are in the book. I gotta just check. Well, I don't see any. I'd love to see one of her oil paintings. Such a sweetie. These collages are just it's so much to look at, Yeah, but it's a full biography on Ruth, and when she began to paint, she had 4 children. She started to paint when her 4 children were grown. She started to take lessons with her sister Hilda Roach. This began over 30 years of study and regional landscape painting. She exhibited in several area shows, and she sold many of her paintings, but eventually her family forbade her to sell any more, so they remained family treasures. She was known as Ruthie. Ruthie was an avid reader and student. Her deep love of nature and the mountains is reflected not only in her paintings, but in her recollections of growing up and raising a family in the Adirondacks. She was a resource for local history and traditions of her area and contributed to oral histories for the Adirondack Museum. So it goes on quite a ways talking about Ruth and her life. And I remember one of let me see if it has the years of her life, because, yep, so she was born in 1912. She died in 2009. So that's 88 plus 9, 97 years old. So that's a good life. Yeah, and just the storytelling here of her going out to the garden and her chair being moved for her. Karen says, love the socks and the Birkenstocks. Absolutely. So neat, isn't it? And the weeds, there's both weeds and flowers in her big flower basket. The thing that Liz said that I thought was especially poignant was that you see that tree that's kind of growing sideways, dangerously sideways, a lot of sprawl. Ruth actually put up that kind of Y stick to hold it in place. So that Y stick held this tree that just kept growing and growing and growing and forming this sort of natural canopy. And everybody always said, because she lived a long life, when Ruth goes, the tree is going to go too. Like when Ruth dies, the tree is going to go. And when she did die, they ended up taking down that tree as well. So it was almost like they were growing simultaneously, parallel train tracks. And when her life was over, the tree's life was over too. The tree clearly was not doing well, so it wasn't like they just sacrificed a tree, like put it to the slaughter. But yes, she didn't want the tree to die in her lifetime. So they just kept it alive by balancing it out like this. I just love the composition. And I want you to note that while sometimes we look at large pieces and we say to ourselves, I'll never do a piece like that. And I want you to be careful and thoughtful when you make those sweeping kinds of statements, because, or have those thoughts, because at the end of the day, a large piece, right, is just a piece that's going to take longer because it's large. Now, this piece, and Liz pointed this out, and we talk about this in the video, her line drawings are not super complicated. They are beautiful, they are stylized, they fit her style, they are gorgeous. But they are not overcomplicated, and they are not overly realistic. They're very simple lines. So what else does she have going on here? Well, she's got Ruth sitting in her chair, right, that's been placed in the garden for her. She's got her basket that she used. She's got a collection of flowers that are probably not the actual flowers that are being picked in the garden, but they're colorful, and shape-wise, composition-wise, they look cool and they fit. She's got the onions on her lap, right, because part of the story had to do with those onions, sweet as an apple. She's got weeds around her, not just perfect flowers, right, not just these sort of pure flowers growing. She's got lots of weeds growing around her. And in the sky, this very asymmetrical tree that is part of her story, creating a natural canopy, unexpected and asymmetrical. And then, above and behind the canopy of the tree, all these small flowers that are just shapes, right, that aren't really there. This is not a literal composition. She's just kind of spaced out color. She's done everything with outlining. And I want you to notice that too, because sometimes you hear people, and it's never me, talk about rug hooking and outlining with rug hooking in a disparaging way, like that it's for amateurs or people who only like primitives. It's not true. Outlining is a choice, right? It is a style. And you can see with this insanely fine piece that there is outlining throughout, and it is super fine. And you see in the background, because it is a large piece, instead of the sky just being plain blue, it's got these swirls and stuff built in. Not everywhere, just here and there. Just like real life, right? Little, when you look down at the ground and it looks like there's a tiny tornado and there's like 3 leaves that are dancing around in a circle. And hey, Susan, hey, Melissa, great to see you. Think about the women of our lives whom we hook. Yet doesn't it make each of us? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. It makes you think about people in your life who you could do a portrait of, right? Because these are not necessarily realistic portraits. I mean, Liz is obviously a great artist, so she captures the look. But besides capturing the look, it's about the other things that are present in the composition, and the fact of them being symbolic, right? Every single little flower that she puts in there is symbolic. And it all has to do with the story of Ruth the gardener and the vegetable grower and the person with arthritis who needs to sit in a specific chair to be comfortable, and the fact that her family is loving enough to put it out there for her, right? All of these things are part of the story, all captured in one drawing. So when you sit down to draw something like this, you don't have to draw the horizon line and then say to yourself, okay, now let me get the face. I'm really bad at faces. You should just sit and fluidly draw what you remember about the person, and then make a list of other things about the person that, if the person is still alive, that you think of or that you past tense remember, and just start filling them in. And you'll see examples of this throughout this book. Hold on one second. I might need to get some water too, because this light is hot. Maybe somebody will come to my rescue. We'll see. Oh, Susan says, my favorite is the rhubarb in the basket. All right, let's go back. I need to look at that again. Hang on, let's look at that. It's funny that you say that, because that is the close-up picture here too. Hold on, let me come back. Yeah, you know, the close up for the page is not necessarily the rhubarb, but you see the basket. Because the basket is so, again, it's not realism, right? It's graphic art. And just how cool the handles, the simple lines look, right? It is a line drawing. The line drawing has been done in black, right? Hooked up in black, and then the color filled in, right? So this is something that you can do. This is a style that you can run with. No matter what kind of a hooker you are, right? Technique aside, in terms of designing, and we'll be talking about this on Sunday, this is a style you can run with. And you can accomplish this for people in your life. Yet the rhubarb basket takes on sort of Jack and the Beanstalk properties, doesn't it? It's like this wild, oversized rhubarb. I didn't know it was rhubarb, so thank you for telling me. I just thought it was leaves. But yeah, they look a little bit of that pinky color. But just the texture of the basket, everything, right? And yes, you can work from photographs. Liz does work from photographs. She's not just doing it from memory. She's using photographs, blowing up photographs. So when you're approaching a picture, a project like this, you want to say to yourself, I'm just going to turn that down a hair because that is like, I'm getting x-rayed right now. Let's do, yeah, okay. Ooh. When you're doing a project like this, you want to think, okay, I mean, I feel like I'm an okay artist, but I'm not like amazing. So if I was going to do a project like this, and I was going to, for example, pick my Aunt Joan, I'm going to pick my Aunt Joan, crazy loon that she was, right? Nutty basket of nuts that she was, I would choose her. And I would get a photo of her looking like Audrey Hepburn with a martini in each hand, and which is usually how she was pictured and how she lived. And I would blow it up and I would trace over it and I would transfer it line for line onto my backing. And I wouldn't do all of the lines, right, because she would really hate that, right, particularly in the face. I would do it that way. I would blow it up and take a line drawing or do tracing paper. You know, you can get the rolls of tracing paper, Alvin brand, Alvin. They can be 12 inches wide or 18 or 36, really wide. Trace something big like that. Paste together, trace it, right? Trace it with tracing paper from a photo. Blow it up on your own printer at home. Tape the pieces, the printer pieces together. And then whatever your transfer medium is, whether it's fiber tape or red dot, or you put it up on the screen door and let the light come through, or you have a light box. That's how I would do it, right? So whether or not you are a great artist, I would still say if you want this look, because that's what Liz is doing, I would do it that way, right? Instead of just drawing it from scratch. Jelly's Jam, great to see you. Welcome. And Valerie says, I use photos and copier in Office to make images all the time. Absolutely. All you have to do is, you know, once they come out of the printer, there's a little border around them, so you have to cut off the border so that things match up perfectly flush. And then you've got your line drawing. Sometimes, depending on like the contrast, right? Sometimes I print something out that's a sketch on, let's go with a cocktail napkin, and it's not very clear. Then I take a Sharpie and I trace it on the printout that I've taped together, and I am ready to go. I'm ready to transfer at that point. So, and if you do it with a Sharpie and you have a light table, or you're taping it up on a screen door or a window or something, and you tape your fabric on top of it, with that dark Sharpie, you're probably going to be able, if it's a sunny enough day or bright enough light box, you're going to be able to see right through it and just start tracing, right? That is the way that it's done. If you think there's magic in this world, there is, but there's no magic that has to do with blowing stuff up and tracing it, right? That's pure grunt work, and there's only so many ways that you can do it. A lot of people fool around with a projector, like an old projector. I never do that, because no matter what, unless the perfect storm of greatness occurs, you always have the thing at an angle. You never get it head on. It's always something is angled a little bit and your image is distorted. I think go the old-fashioned way. A lot of people still do the really old-fashioned way, just break stuff into blocks and trace it, right? A photo this big turns into an 8-foot composition with blocks, right? You just scale it up to what you want. A half of an inch becomes a foot. It still works that way too. It's just way more labor intensive. So I'm going to move on to the next person. I love Ruth, and I love Ruth's story. We are moving forward to the story of the next person. I'm showing you the rug first, and I really shouldn't do that. I should first show you Dr. Kathleen Riley, ND, naturopathic doctor. She's got a basket too. Here she is. It's a great photo, isn't it? The photography is really great too. Melanie says, Valerie says, drawing from scratch is too tedious. I want to go to the fun part. Exactly. Exactly. I do too. I want to go to the fun part, and I love to trace with tracing paper, either stuff that I've drawn great the first time and it's too small, or stuff that I photographed and I'm tracing over my photograph. One or the other, because I don't trust myself to make something big and to have it still have exactly the same look and vibe of the thing that's this big on a post-it note. And I don't like to fool around with the technical part of it, like transferring the design, for any longer than I have to. So like Valerie, I'm way more a fan of doing quick stuff. I love the fiber tape. That's why I do fiber tape, because I find it to be the quickest. But red dot is too, right? It has different problems. We'll talk about transfer another time. But whatever your transfer method is, I think Valerie's right. Speed is the key. Melanie says, I use Excel to enlarge things. That works great. You can set any size you want, and it will collate the sheets. Perfect, right? Perfect. Yes, that was forced.
Answer the question.
I'm doing a live show.
What was you doing? Guys.
Okay, wait a minute. Don't swear. Did you just swear on camera?
Oh, no.
I think you might
Why
have.
is it not there? Goodbye.
Are you guys blowing up my thread by writing stupid stuff?
No,
Okay.
I was out on a walk.
Okay. Teddy was out on a walk. I'm sorry, baby.
But I mean, the sweat I had in my
Okay, you have
forehead.
lots of pieces of sweat. I am so sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, I missed it. Drunk. Okay, I missed it. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm telling you, that child, she's going to get me into trouble here. Yes, Melanie, great tip. You can set the size you want. Okay, great. Especially if they're perspectives. Oh my God, she just threw me off my game coming down here and swearing right on camera. I am so careful to not swear on camera. Usually I'm careful to not swear on camera, and she's a child to boot, but okay. Moving right along. Dr. Kathleen Riley, ND. Sorry, I'm just thinking I'm going to send a message upstairs to tell her to get off. Naturopathic doctor. Our first visit to Dr. Kathleen Riley was when our daughter Chelsea was just 9 months old. I won't bore you with the medical details, but I will say we were desperately in need of some help for our daughter. God, can I relate to that? And a different point of view. What we found was exactly what we needed. Although our kids had not grown and moved away, they still, on occasion, turned to their old doctor for advice. Almost 35 years. Okay. Yes. She is sorry. Very good. She's probably freaking out right now. Socks and sandals again. Oh my God, you're right. And you know what, Karen? Liz wears socks and sandals. I've seen that in the pictures, and she had sandals on the other day. No socks. It was like over 100 degrees, but still. So Kathleen's portrait shows her standing in front of one of the chapel windows of her old office. She is surrounded by her favorite flowers and the pink and yellow walls of her exam rooms. On the left are books she uses in her practice, and on the right are neat rows of herbs, tinctures, and teas that she uses to treat her patients. Historically, the dress of the portrait sitter is often used to determine the date of the painting. Here, Kathy Riley's dress can certainly be used to date her portrait. I too wore this style, I gotta look at it, in 2017. Aha! I think I also wore this style, this sort of dropped waist, right? Remember these? Pinafores, remember these? I think Laura Ashley brought these in with a vengeance. And we did used to layer not just short sleeve shirts, but turtlenecks under them. Do you remember? Oh, yeah. Kathy Riley has seen me through some very hard times, it is rare in today's world to feel seen and understood by a medical professional, but her office is a place where I can find true solace. And I'm sorry, I always struggle with that word. And I'm so grateful to her for providing that space. Over the years, we have developed a relationship that surpasses the roles of doctor and patient. I consider her a true friend, and she occupies a special place in my heart. So we'll come back to this in just a second. I just want to show you there is the collage, the collage page that shows, these collage pages show the inspiration for the elements and the motifs that will go into the portrait, right? Besides the figure, just like with Ruth, the garden, the rhubarb, the basket, the chair, the her tree, right? Same thing. It's a question of choosing what things about the person will go into the composition. So obviously with the I was going to say herbal medicine, is that the right term to use? Is that a match? Because I saw like tinctures and teas and stuff. I'm guessing it's like herbal medicine stuff. All the bottles, right? And obviously all of that needs to go into the composition. So let's come back over here. Thanks, Gail. That was quite bad. I'm not going to crucify her for that, though. I think what's happening is her buddy is online, because they always joke about me having a show, right? And I think that's what's going on. And yeah, we'll see. So this is Kathy Riley, and here she is in her old studio space. So what do you notice about the composition? Right, I'm going to talk about it, but if you note something, the reason I frame the question like that is because I'm saying, what are you seeing here in terms of the composition, right, that stand out to you? So I'm going to do my version of it, and you can think about the same question, and it's a worthy question of thought, because when you are designing anything of your own, or you are working on a commercial pattern and you decide you want to add some personal bling or some little touches that are all your own, you want to think about questions like this. What about this composition is different? So when I look at this composition, I immediately get the sense, like the sort of buttressed, right? The sort of shape of the arches reminds me of a church. So I'm thinking about something spiritual or something magical, one or the other. So my brain goes there. Triptych, Wendy, fantastic. Yes, let's go with that. Triptych, that's an even better word. So you are also picking up on that sort of sacred aspect of this composition. She's got the character of Kathy Riley, and she needs to put a background in. So here's Kathy, right? There's Kathy. That's how Kathy dresses at the moment that she wants to capture the likeness. And now we have to fill in the background. Multiple patterns, yes, absolutely. What are some of the tricks that you can do to fill in a background, right? Definitely do multiple patterns. She has got, sort of using the triptych lines, if you follow straight down, there is a background behind Kathy that is broken into like squares, right? But down at the bottom, you can clearly see half of it's yellow, half of it's pink, and then there's a path under her feet. There's an additional layer of green and dark brown, but she has kind of color blocked the background behind Kathy. She's dropped in leaves and flowers, right, for tinctures and teas. And Judy says, maybe because I was looking at her work earlier, but I got Hilma af Klint vibes with the geometry. Absolutely, Judy, you're right. And you know what else, Judy? The flowers, right, are super Hilma flowers. But absolutely, the geometry, the rigid geometry, with the sort of sacred geometry with the organic flowers, imperfect flowers, is something that I see here too. That is a great one to pick out. You notice how some of the flowers are in front of her dress. That's a big deal because it's not like a collage, right? You have the character, you lay the character down, and some of the flowers and her feet are behind the layer, right? So there isn't actually depth in this piece. It is not this kind of a fine art piece. We are not looking for the vanishing point, right, or perspective, but she is doing tricks that help this piece feel three-dimensional and feel like it's reaching out to you, like the hands break the sides of that one panel where Kathy's standing, her hands break to one side, where one hand is kind of being guided over a row of bottles with different colored labels. Down at the bottom, you see the T, so a reference to that form of medicine. And on the left, instead of repeating, which she could have, instead of repeating the different bottles of different sizes, she puts books instead. And that's interesting. She lets some of the flowers find their way to the border. It's all interesting. It's basically, when you break it down, a drawing of Kathy, and the background is broken up with the geometry that you all just described, and she fills it in with patterning. And where does she get the patterns? From the plants and flowers that are used in the tinctures, and the bottles and the books that are all part of her office setting, right? So interesting, because it makes you, this one is called In the Old Chapel. It's so interesting because it really makes you think about composition. And again, one of the things that I love the most about Liz's exhibit, besides the storytelling, besides the heartstrings, is the fact that the compositions have more in common with folk art, right? Although she has tons of art training, that's why she's able to do this so successfully. It has more in common with folk art than fine art. And personally, I prefer folk art to fine art. Just personally, that's my taste. And of course, folk art relates immediately to rug hooking and fiber art. With fine art, you kind of have to finesse it. But with folk art, it's an instant crossover. So this is really appealing to me because we're looking at a composition that is essentially very flat, yet it's not boring, yet it's not simple and naive. There's a lot going on here. And it's being done, all of it has to do with Kathy, right? None of it has to do with Liz. This is Kathy in her element, in her old office at the old chapel, with her bottles, with her books, with her supplies to make her medicines, right? So all about Kathy. It just becomes a question of, ooh, there's a poem here. I think we're going to have to look at the poem. This is done with wool fabric, wool yarn, gold lame fabric on linen, hand hooked and appliqued. There are some appliques here. In fact, let me see if I can show you this a little bit closer up. Let me see if this works. I'm going to show you the shape here. That's applique. It looks like a cut out. Maybe it might be appliqued on. I don't know if it's cut out like mola style. No, it looks more like a penny rug stitched, like blanket stitched, that black piece in the center. She does this a lot. She adds bling and stuff like that. Okay, let's read this because it's a poem, so obviously we need to read it. And it looks like this is by Debbie Jacobs Eckert, Eckert. One patient who is forever grateful to Dr. Riley, October 26, 1956 through May 2nd, 2016. Oh, Sandy, I'm going to read that in just a second. I haven't read through this yet, so if there's any really bad words, we've already heard one tonight. I will skip over it. Let's see. A healer and a caring soul, the lives she's touched are many. Her sons, her gram, friends, patients, they're all embraced as family. They are like her garden, which she tends to every year. Amongst the crops she's nurtured, the camp in Winstead she holds dear. For there, not only planting, she teaches crocheting to the crop of kids who go each summer there. Her giving doesn't stop. She volunteers at Mercy House, a shelter where she sees patients who need caring with naturopathic expertise. Each and every patient knows how much she truly cares, in tune to everybody's needs, for time she'll always spare. For healing is a journey that a doctor tends to lead, and she's one who'll empower, knows just how to plant a seed. She knows one's healing bruise within guides her patients to take rein. With supplements and diet, changes never are in vain. She's a woman to admire, mentored by her gram with love, influenced by her grandfather, whose ministries from above. They helped her carve her being to mentor those in strife. She ministers to other as a healer made her life. Oh, that is a beautiful tribute. Absolutely gorgeous. And Sandy says, ooh, Sandy says the shelves with herbs, tinctures, flowers, and herbs as basis of homeopathic treatments, natural and simple clothing, books as resources. So great. Yes, this is a great translation of this. Purple is symbolic of wise older women. I love it. See, so much symbolism built in, right? And at the end of the day, although the composition is busy, it's not bewildering, right? There's a difference between bewildering and busy. And this is not bewildering. It is intensely layered and thoughtful as a composition. I'm going to move on. It is already after 8:02. I'm skipping over Chelsea. Chelsea is her daughter. And there's only 2 in the book that are not Liz's own drawings. Chelsea is one of them. Her daughter did her own. So that one is a really special one, and I want to save that one for you when you see the exhibit in person or when you read the book. I'm going to move to Jane Pollock. Let me just make sure. Okay, yep, I know which one this is. So this one was interesting for me. I'm sorry, I'm not on the screen. So, okay, so I showed you Jane. So, oops. So here's Jane. And let's see. The Westchester Craft Show in White Plains, New York was one of the first large fine craft shows that I participated in. Here I exhibited some of my first functional hooked rugs and my signature penny pillows. The juror that year was Jane Pollock, who presented awards after the show was installed. I was honored to receive the Collector's Award, along with an invitation from Jane to join a group called the Artsy Girls. The Artsy Girls turned out to be an invitational group of creative women, all selected by Jane. They met quarterly at each other's homes for dinner. The group was composed of writers, visual artists, a TV producer, a toy inventor, and other interesting creatives. I joined the group and, after my initial trepidation, made some lifelong friends. So she goes on to talk about Jane. But I want to show you, before we look at the portrait again, some of the collage stuff from Jane. So look at this, and you can see here, this is where she pulled the piece from, right? This is certainly the photo. Now, one of the things that struck me about this collage, I'm looking at Jane, I'm looking at her hands doing arts and crafts, and I'm looking at this book called Decorating Eggs because I have that book, and I love this book. And it just struck me as how interesting it was, right, that she's also the author of this book, because I've looked at this book exhaustively, looking at patterns and the colors and everything. It's been a great inspiration book for me, Decorating Eggs by Jane Pollock, and that happens to be Jane's. So let me show, also, I'm going to read this to you in a minute. Let me show you this image. That is a gorgeous necklace, man. If I saw that somewhere, I would buy that for sure. So Jane Goodman Pollock, born July 4th, 1948. What defines a successful woman today? Is it expressing herself creatively, running a successful business, contributing to her community, inspiring others? If you're talking about Jane Pollock, the answer is all of the above. Born in Columbus, Ohio on the 4th of July, 1948, and raised in White Plains, New York, Jane realized her artistic talent at an early age. Among a competitive family with 2 sisters and a brother, hers were the pictures chosen to hang on the walls of their house, beginning at a tender age of 8. So she talks about how she becomes known as the Egg Lady with the decorated eggs. These are Ukrainian eggs. And she talks a lot about her art career and I guess what brought her to White Plains in organizing this art show. So let's look at her piece one more time. This piece is not super symbolic, right? This is, I'm going to come back to you here. That is this piece, right? She's taken out the words on the board, but that is the portrait. This is a straight up portrait. So this is a little different than the 2 that we've seen so far. What is added in this piece? Can you remember? And she does have the necklace on in the piece, and she does have this color scarf, and she is holding a marker. But what is added in this piece? I'm just catching up, Susan. I'm just seeing your comment on the one before. I'm going to flip back and look at that one as well. So the thing that is different here, because she does have a polka dot scarf on, it's the background to some extent. Yes, Judy, exactly. The spiral filigrees in the hair, that's what's different about this piece. And also the color blocking on the face, right? Egg designs in her hair. Oh, that's funny, Valerie. That is a great parallel. That is so funny. All of that filigree detail in the hair, both of you hit the nail on the head. Now, in the picture, just to show that, when you're working from a picture, you can be literal and still end up with something really creative. In the picture, can you tell that she does have the wall behind her, right? This is a line. So it's split between these two walls. I think we have a buddy over the house. Okay. Okay, nothing outrageous, please.
Okay.
Do you want to come and say hi and be normal for a second?
Can I get a 0.5 of you?
Do you want to say hi and be normal?
Can I get a 0.5 of you? And then I'll say hi.
I don't understand the question.
Gus, you're so mean.
That's
Okay,
not
go,
mean.
go.
Okay.
I'm running a show. Thank you.
I was in your live. It was peak.
It was peak. Go,
It
go,
was
go
peak.
before you do something crazy again.
I won't say any slurs, Mom.
I'm so sorry. This is parenting in 2025. And I had both of these children in my 40s. I am too old for this. Fill in the blank. All right, so even with a very literal depiction of a photograph, very literal, you can still do something that is really summer fun, that is really creative. So she's really kept the essence of Jane, and she's done a straight-on portrait, but color blocking, right? And color blocking is its own beast. I'm going to show you this. You know what? Let me stretch this a little bit and see if you can see it. Before I do that, I just want to come back to Susan's comment about the skirt. The detail of the skirt hem a bit behind the leg adds depth. You're right. Little detail like that, right, to an otherwise quite flat piece. Very good. Oh, thanks, Gail. I'll say she knows she's not in trouble. She's a good girl. We usually don't have those kinds of moments. We do say swears, but we don't have those kinds of moments. Let's see. And she came to the thing today. If she comes back, I'm going to tell her to bring the bug that she made. I want to show you her bug. So let's look at the face of Jane close up. We know that Jane is an organizer. She's a person who gets community together. She formed this group, right, of people who she knew would click and get along well. And if you're wondering, how hard is it to do, for example, the spirals in the hair? And did you know there were all these different colors as well? I mean, in theory, you could do quilly, right? You could have a bit of quilly in here too, if you wanted to. How difficult is it to do that part of the composition? It's not. That part's really easy to do. Alternately, how hard is it to do a face that has color substitutions like this? That is harder to do. It is not impossible to do. And the easiest and best way to figure out how to do that is to print a photo of the face or take a picture of the photo with your phone, right? Assuming you have a good phone. Also, you could do this on the computer in lots of different programs. Put different filters on the face. Put different filters on the face. Experiment with different levels of color. Some programs will just do the color substitution for you, and then you sketch it out, right? Take a different color Sharpie, add it to the face that's already drawn on your backing. Add the lines the way that a computer has broken them down for you. I don't trust my eye to say that's a medium dark, that's a light dark, that's a full blast medium, that's a light light. I don't trust my eye to do that, right? To pick out the really highly keyed areas. My eye is not that good. When you look at it close up, it's a bit bonkers. But as soon as you step back, you are looking at a piece that you don't even realize at first. I'm going to make it small again. You don't even realize at first that there's color substitution, right? The first thing I think you notice is the wild hair. So interesting, because when one is doing a series of portraits, right, for 20 years, you are going to try to find ways of playing games and challenging yourself to do different things with the portraits, right? So this is a very different one than the two that we've seen so far. This one I showed you in our video with Haley, and this is Kimberly Day Proctor, if you didn't see the video, I hope that you'll watch the video later, because if you are enjoying this conversation, you are going to love this video. So I'll tell you about Kimberly in a minute, but Liz writes, it's hard to remember a time before most of us owned computers, but that's when and how I met Kim Proctor. We both had children in the same class in elementary school, and I had volunteered to help the teachers in the computer lab. I didn't even know how to turn a computer on, and Kim knew just a little more than I did. Together with the students, we both learned some of the basics before purchasing our first family computers. In the years since, Kim, a professional landscape designer, has designed the gardens and grounds around our house and has become a close friend. Each summer, she brings me beautiful bouquets of flowers from her garden, along with unusual specimens of all kinds of plants to use in my sculptures. We take many walks together, and Kim has introduced me to beautiful scenic roads in Connecticut that meander through field and forest. These have become our favorite destinations for spotting vegetation and wildlife. So I'm going to skip the rest of it because it's a nice long biography on her life and on their friendship together. And that brings us to what we need next. And really, Liz is showing us the blueprint for making this kind of a piece. In other words, if you're doing a portrait of somebody, and let's just pause for 1 minute, not even a full minute, just pause for a second and think, if you were ever going to do a portrait of somebody, whether it's in this style or very realistically, think for a minute about who you would do. And it doesn't have to be the person who is closest to you or is closest to you. It really could be anybody. It could also be a person who you've never met before. Let's just think for a second. Because now I'm thinking of a whole bunch. I missed my chance to ask for some water, didn't I? And the reason I say that is because for each person, this is a good thing to do in bed, right? If you can't fall asleep. Whether or not you ever do the exercise, right? Put down the person's name, maybe a Post-it note size or even smaller. Draw like the shape of what the person would look like. And then with arrows, draw things that you would put into that composition that have to do either with that person's life or with storytelling. Remember, with Edith, she's holding the oranges for a reason, right? She didn't just choose onions of all of the vegetables in the garden. She chose onions because of the story with Chelsea, the daughter. So that comes into it as well, right? When I think about my dad, I think about if I were to do a portrait of him, I would certainly put in Sherlock Holmes, because that was one of his he was obsessive about Sherlock Holmes and Lizzie Borden, right? I might try to get both of them into the background. He was obsessive about the Conan Doyle canon, and he was obsessive about trying to solve the mystery of Lizzie Borden. And so for different people, it's going to be different things, right? I'm not going to put in tinctures and teacups. For each person, it's going to be different things, and all of the stories, right, that you can remember. What a great way of creating a mental collage that tells all the stories at once, right? And turning the plaid pants for Dad, for sure he'd be wearing his shameful plaid pants that he never washed, that he super grew out of and kept wearing them every Thanksgiving. Each person is going to have those things, and what a great opportunity with this kind of composition for putting those things in. Now, for Kimberly, her life is being a landscape gardener. So here we see some of her flowers, right? We see her in black and white, and I think this is another sort of challenging thing that Liz sets herself, like doing something that's monochromatic except for the flowers, right? A little bit of green in the tree, but that's actually a different part of the rug. It's 3 pieces. It's the part that's folded over like on a step. It's a part on the floor like a map with the legend on it, and it's the part that's hanging on the wall like a typical like rug hanging on a wall. Nothing about this is typical, but you know what I mean. There's 3 parts to it. So when you're doing that and you're saying to yourself, what do I want to put in there, right? Liz is a gardener. Then you want to think about your memories or your photographs with that person, the things about them, about you together. Who's there? Aryan? Oh, it's the Phantom. The Phantom will never bring me water, will he? All right. So at the end of the day, birds. She had some pictures of birds. So at the end of the day, she shows us this, and this is 78.5 by 102 by 27.5, right? I know it. You know, you're right, Karen. And maybe that is is somebody in there? Are you there? I'm dying for some water. I might need even more than that. Can you tell Joss to come and bring that picture of the bug she painted? This is a half a glass of water.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm so thirsty. Yes, it is surprising that there's not more color, but maybe that is the thing, right? Maybe it's forcing you to imagine color. That might be the thing, right? Instead of trying to, because her whole world is natural, like the natural world and all of the colors of the birds and the things, and because she's a designer, right? She works with a pen and draws things in black and white. So maybe part of it is the device, just at one reading, right? One reading of the scenario. Maybe part of it is the idea that you have to fill in your own color. And the flowers that she does show us are super oversized flowers, right? It's almost like a little joke happening. The Magical World of Kimberly Day Proctor, 2019. Wool on linen, hand hooked, cotton, silk, linen threads, punch needle embroidery, and hand embroidery. And yes, it is a large piece. And you can see up on the step and as a mat and on the wall. It was a massive piece. Kimberly Day Proctor, born August 28th, 55. As Kim said, who we are is shaped by both our genetics and our environment, and how those things shake out to make you. You. That is it, isn't it? All of the, don't, calm down, calm down, calm down. You're making me very nervous tonight because you're acting like an animal. So when we were at the church today, she came with me. She painted this little canvas. Look what she painted.
It's so out of focus.
I know. I'm going to put it in focus. Don't worry. It always does this.
Your mom's lie across.
No. I love you, Jolie. But you guys are too crazy. It won't come in focus, Joss.
Let me see.
Yeah, no, do it a little bit closer.
Cutely joined.
No, your hand is moving like you got some problems, some other than what's obvious. Stop touching.
Your daughter scared me.
Me too, Jolie.
Oh yeah, the question didn't show up, but you said, what would you do if you had a bunch of mangoes in your mouth?
He forced me to say that, by the way.
That's okay. You didn't say anything bad. Anyway, it won't come into focus, but it's super cute. It's like got purple. You see, it's got a little heart on the side of it too. It's about, well, it's this big in my hand. It's a tiny little canvas. Absolutely love it. Goes really well with this. Oh, Gail, I'll see you next time. Have fun with you're just starting your day. Dinner plate dahlias. Is that what they are? Dinner plate dahlias because they're so big? Ah, I didn't know what those were. That's so cool. But Karen, I get your point. It is interesting, isn't it? So I'm reading a little bit about her life. Even through hardship, art has always been a part of Kim's life, with a family tree full of artists, from designers and illustrators to painters, and even an aeronautic engineer. Grandfather Rex Bizzle designed the F-4U Corsair. It's hardly a surprise that Kim knew from the time she was in kindergarten that she too would be an artist. See, each one of the, she went to RISD. I went to RISD for a while too. That's neat. That's a good connection. Yeah, I mean, each person, Kim gives each person like a short biography, and I got to meet Kim, right? And you'll get to meet Kim in that video too. So, I mean, she's really celebrating. Oh, wait a minute. She's celebrating each person for what the thing is that makes them so special and different. And you know, this is something that I talk about a lot. You know, in my group and stuff, because you know, sometimes, and maybe you can relate to this, sometimes it's like in my life and now, right, always, there are people who are in your life and you're really connected to them, and I think we have this together because we have something huge in common, right? And we love crafts, fiber arts, hooking, right? So that is a huge thing to have in common. It's like it's already built in, like it's already hardwired that we have stuff in common, and we're probably going to get on great in person for the most part, right? Coven of Witches aside. But sometimes I think about how in life um, you stumble upon people who um, who really like you, but maybe not for the reasons that you want them to. Do you know what I mean? Going back to like the football player who likes me because of my big boobs, right? That's not exactly why I wanted him to like me. I was hoping he would just think I was the best thing in the world and fall in love. And it's not the same thing. And there are always these weird crossroads when you're in a difficult friendship or relationship where you wonder whether the person that who you're considering is someone who likes you for the reasons that you like. And at the end of the day, do you get to choose? Are you happy that people like you just because they like you, so that's positive, so that's good? Or is it important to you, and it's different from person to person, or is it important to you that they like you for the things that you like the most about yourself, right? And we all have this conversation in one way or another with ourselves. And I think you hope that you end up surrounded by, not just, if you have a partner or not, and a friend group. And I think ideally you hope that they will not just like you, but love you for the things that you love about yourself. Because otherwise, who is seeing those best things, the things that you think are the best about yourself? So I love Kim's sentiment about having all these outside influences, these biological influences, right? Who your parents are, what they like, that's certainly a part of you that you can't deny. But who you become is also a huge part of you. And what parts of you, it is so hot in here, what parts of you choose to celebrate and elevate and exhibit to the rest of the world. That's the part that you have to decide. And when those best parts, like the cream, right, that rises to the surface, when those best parts emerge and other people see those things, it's even, at least in my experience, it's even more gratifying. It makes you more sincerely happy than any other kinds of likes and loves, because you know that they saw the thing about you that's the best, right? And this is alternately probably the reason why breakups are so painful. When somebody leaves somebody else, particularly after lots of years, right? I do a lot of this with my friends and stuff. We have these conversations, and it's like it's the worst, because the person who walked away already knew those best things about you, and they weren't compelling enough, right? So it is like the ultimate kind of a rejection for someone to know those things and to walk away. All of those things that make us us, right? And they're all going to be some good things and some bad things. When you're working on a composition that has to do with someone's life story, you want to think about that too, right? Not just the beautiful good things, but about the things that were sad, that were loss, that were tragedies, that were negatives, that were obstacles, right? Those all make great storytelling as well. It doesn't just have to be the light side, right? Because that's not absolutely realistic, is it? Very cool. Oh, you're going outside for a fire. Oh, I'll see you back on Sunday. Let me just have a sip and we're going to keep going. I'm going to show you Marilyn next. And Marilyn is a rug hooker. I think Marilyn is gone. I think she would have related to this conversation perfectly. Let's see. I'm not no, maybe she's still alive. Let's see. I think she might be still alive. I know the reason I say that is because I remember that Liz said that Marilyn was worried. She wanted to see the piece of her finished, and she wanted her family to see it at an exhibit. And she did, right? Because it's already out. So that part came true. Marilyn. This is Marilyn Botcher. And Marilyn Botcher has been teaching the art of rug hooking for over 50 years. At 95 years old, she is still meeting with her devoted students and has maintained her passion for the art form. Her curiosity and enthusiasm to try new things is so inspiring. Marilyn is kind and generous. Her willingness to share and bring people together is something to admire. Every January, she hosts a Halfway to Spring. Oh, that is so nice. Halfway to Spring Hookin', where rug hooking artists from the tri-state area gather to spend the day together. It's a time to meet new friends, to reconnect with old ones, and to share a mutual love of rug hooking. She's also a member of our Hookworks group. Marilyn is tall, an elegant woman admired by many. To capture her refinement, I chose to hook her portrait primarily in shades of white wool. I'm going to hold there with that. But I want to say to you, I remember in the video, if you saw the video, you probably can't tell with this picture here, but Liz said she said until she hooked this piece, she said she really didn't understand how many colors of white there were. Because I don't think you can tell from this image as well, but in the piece itself, there are a lot of colors of white. And like we were saying, little things that Liz would do to challenge herself. The jacket, this is one of them. I'll make that larger in just a second. This piece is called Marilyn Botcher Tokens of Friendship 2019. Wool on linen, hand hooked fabric strips, spool knitted. Okay, spool knitted. Now I'm confused. I'm looking. Think of something spool knitted is like a tube, right? Is it like a little tube? Oh, maybe the strands are spool knitted. Okay, well, let's stretch that out and check it out. This is 108 by 67. So, and I'm going to do the same thing with this piece as the last piece, and say, what do you think about this composition? What is standing out for you with this composition? And what are some of the things about Marilyn that Liz just mentioned that you think, traits about Marilyn that are very clear in the way that this piece is executed? And while you think about that, in the meantime, I'm going to say to you, her page reads, Marilyn Botcher, born September 6, 1929. My mother-in-law, Marilyn Botcher, has never ceased to amaze me in the 45 years I have known her. She's an extraordinary person in many different respects. Before I knew her, she had attended a prestigious college, Barnard, married a wonderful partner, John, and raised 3 sons, David, Paul, and John, and worked as a librarian, she herself. The thing that impressed me most when I first met her was the collection of rugs in her home. I was amazed to learn that these were rugs she had made herself, and which she had mostly designed herself. Her hooking career began in the 1960s when she bought a hook and a pattern at Macy's, but then could not figure out what to do. Hard to imagine that such an illustrious career in fiber art started with such humble beginnings. I'm going to hold on that too. She also helped create 2 shows for the series Uncommon Threads on HGTV. Interesting. She's got an amazing biography here. So I'm going to come back to it in a second. I just want to show you another piece that she did. This looks like, I was going to say mini punch, but I think this is mini knots, this piece here, and she wrote her name with it. It looks like she used roving to hook around it. Cute little piece there, isn't it? I think this is knot work, tiny little knots, little French knots. And I wanted to show you, I might have some more, I'm going to go back to the picture too. I might have some more collage-y pictures in here. I do. I had to show this one because we're rug hookers, and look at these hooks. One of them is a silverware hook. Has anybody hooked with a silverware hook? I so want to, because it seems so sort of charming, but it also seems really uncomfortable. Has anybody done that? And what do you have to say about those? Because I'm always tempted. And then the other hook, the wooden hook with like silver hardware on it. I mean, that is completely amazing. Completely amazing. So as you can imagine, let me just make sure. Nope. Sorry. Oh boy, close your eyes, close your eyes. Let me just come back here. Sorry about that. And her collage page is like collection of baskets, her hooking stuff, because she's been a rug hooker like for years, since the 60s. She was a rug hooker for like, sounds like 60 years. Amazing. So let's come back to this piece. I would say with this piece, the fact of her being tall and a very elegant woman, I think really comes across in the way that this is a very simple composition with a very simple background. Now, there is a lot of more complicated hooking in this piece than in others we've seen, but it's controlled, right? It's in the carpet, the profusion of rugs that are sort of whimsically summer of love style toppling onto the carpet, but her pants and her jacket are technically very hard to hook and so beautifully done. And then alternately the very flat flower pot with the leaf going in front of her as well, right? So playing with depth. Interesting, right? Let me make this big, just a little bit bigger, because I'm curious to look I'm curious about that knitting, the spool knitting thing. Wait a minute, I'm struggling. Okay, here we go. Let me unlock. Let me see if we can look at that a little bit closer up. And very simple lines. And do you notice the frame around? I don't think I'm going to get it that large. The frame around it is like an old photograph. Very, very simple, right? Absolutely beautiful. God, look at that detail. The contrast of things that are patterned, intricately patterned, with things that are flat really creates a lot of interest. Oh, you think the daisies are spool knitted. Oh, interesting. Okay. Wendy says her head almost touches the ceiling. Oh, okay. I want to see that. Yeah, you're right. Wendy, you're right. That's a good one. She is tall. And it's clear, isn't it? Somehow you just know it's also exceptionally big. I mean, it's really big. It's very bottom heavy, but the thin border and her stature helps balance the composition. You're right. You're right. It is very bare in the background. It's very bottom heavy, but she is such a striking figure. She's so well dressed. She's so elegant. She's so statuesque. She really carries the rest of it. It's such a statement piece. And of course, I haven't met her. It makes me wonder how close we are with some of these women. You get a real sense of what you feel their personality would be like, right? And this is a name that I think you are going to know. Let me show you. This is somebody who you know, I think who you know from the rug cooking world. I have not met her. Jessie Turbane. You probably know, she's so pretty. You probably know the name because she's written so many books on rug cooking. Liz writes, I came across the art of rug cooking almost by accident. One day as I walked past our local historical society, I saw a group of women hard at work. I was intrigued and later sought out a local woman to teach me the basics before she moved out of state. In those days, rug cooking seemed very mysterious and supplies were not readily available. I was thrilled by what I had learned and I wanted to learn more. That is how I first came to know Jessie Turbane, whose publications were recommended to me by an acquaintance. I remember sitting in a bookstore for over an hour trying to decide between the two books they had for sale. I ended up buying them both. You have to have all of her books, right? They are all amazing. Let's look at some of the other ones. This is the finished one, and I'm going to come back to this in a minute. But some of the texture shots from the collage pages. And I thought these would be especially interesting for us because we're rug hookers too. So looking at some of Jessie's stuff, right? Oh, wait a minute, I have to come back. Wait a minute, I'm flipping back. Can you tell what the blue rectangle is on the right side? I don't know. Do you think it's another empty flower pot? Let me see if I can make it bigger. I'm wondering if it's another empty flower pot, and if that's the case, I wonder what that symbolizes. What do you think? Does that look like... You know, that's a great question. I don't know. Do you all know? That is a really good question. Gosh, because it's not part of the rug. You know, it might say it in the text of the book. Gosh, I'm so curious now. I'll keep an eye on the thread and see if anybody figures it out before we go much further. Yeah, so some of these photos in Jessie's chapter are interesting because, of course, these are Jessie's books. They're about rug hooking, and I think some of these are going to look real familiar to you, right? Fantastic. Grenfell rugs, and there's a lot about her stitching and restoring stuff. So yeah, this is all stuff that we know about too. We have, oops, didn't mean to do that. We have this great shared story with Jessie. Our stories overlap. So in this piece, oh, interesting. I'm going to show you this close up too. No, hang on a second. This piece is called Jessie Turbane at Work in Her Studio 2020. Recycled and hand-dyed wool on linen, hand-hooked silk and cotton threads on cotton, punch needle embroidery, hand embroidery, recycled buttons, antique braid, pins, and needles. Aha. I'll make this bigger in a second. And we're not seeing the photo with this. That is exactly the photo from the studio. Ooh, looks like this was taken sort of the same day. Now hang on a second. I'm going to come back to you here because there's something. It's definitely not exactly the same pose, but there is something similar between this and this. Right, it looks like the shirt is the same or similar. Interesting. But the thing that is really okay, let's read a little bit and see if we can find anything out. So Jessie Alexandra Turbain, born 1954, as a child compromised by polio. Jessie Turbain had a choice of every day to either lay back and let others care for her or get out there and be part of the world. She chose to get out there, and what a world she's created. Jessie is best known for her restoration work on hooked rugs and is also the author of 8 highly regarded books on the subject. In the early 70s, Jamie, oh my God, these children, Jamie, her antiques dealing brother, handed her a rug to repair. True to her inquisitive nature, she delved into the work. As Jessie would tell you, she's not about to do anything half-heartedly. Using her background in art and medical illustration, she soon became an expert in the conservation and restoration of hand-hooked rugs. She developed her expertise while juggling the demands of her young family. She would still rise, still does, long before dawn, and work till her family awoke, painstakingly repairing damaged areas of rugs, often using surgical needles, by bringing these old rugs to the attention of the antiques world. So this goes on quite far. Oh, with a deep respect for Buddhist philosophy, Jessie's life embodies the words of the Dalai Lama: if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Oh, that is good, isn't it? Oh, that is really good. Jessie continues to do restoration work on hooked rugs for collectors, antique dealers, museums, and folks who cherish the rug that Aunt Ruthie made in 1964. Oh, man. Okay, so let me, you know what, instead of going to that, I want to show you what the close-up is. So in this piece, you can see that her hands are hooking a rug or maybe restoring a rug. And the close-up is of this. Now that looks to me like a little sort of Anne Boleyn ornament that I've seen in gift shops and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Have you seen that one too? It looks like it's kind of hanging, I don't know if it's hanging as a sort of chatelaine thing, like so that she doesn't lose her needle or something. And remember how it said there were pins and needles? Right here is a trapunto orange pineapple, and there's a bunch of pins in it. So that's where those pins are.
I got this on the phone too.
Oh, okay. Pineapple, and there's a bunch of pins.
Deleted it.
Okay, so it's delayed. Okay, good.
It's. I
You
wanted
kids
to
are
make
so
another.
weird.
I wanted
You
to make
kids
it
are
a.
so
I was
weird.
thinking about making another cameo. I buttoned up my shirt too.
You
I'm wearing
buttoned
a
up your
different
shirt.
one.
You also changed your shirt.
Yeah.
Come here. What's going on? Where's your other shirt gone?
All right.
Oh, he wanted to make another
Took it off.
cameo.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'll smell you later.
Coffee cup. I'll smell you later, Ted. It's his favorite joke lately. I'll smell you later. Okay, a coffee cup. Well, now I need to investigate that. Let's see. Nope, too far. Nope, sorry. Huh. Gosh. Maybe. I mean, I'm going to take it because I'm not sure. Gosh, that's a puzzling one, isn't it? You know what? If I make it into the bed and I'm still conscious and I don't have toothpicks holding my eyes open, Tom and Jerry style, I will maybe read through this and see if I can find out. So I skipped over some of these, and they're all amazing, right? They're all amazing. It's not like some are better than others. They're all completely amazing. There's other hookers in here too, because of course she's in some hooking friend circles. Everybody in here they're all of them outrageously great. But I want to bring you to another. So we keep on chugging because we're certainly getting there time-wise. Let me see. Let me lock this and hang on. Okay. Wait a minute. Back up here. Yep. Okay, good. We're further along than I thought. Okay, hang on. And, okay. So, okay, wait a minute. Am I in the right chapter? I am. So this will be the June Miles chapter. And I have also met June Miles, and I've found her to be an incredible, incredible person. Let's first talk about her. I met her when I first started rug hooking at the library in Reading, Connecticut. And she was working, I know I covered this a little bit at the time, right at the beginning of my channel. She was working on a series of portraits of men. And I just thought that was so unusual because we see a lot of portraits of women, but not men. We covered her book once called If Wool Could Talk. Do you remember? So if you look at Ribbon Candy Hooking, the channel, it will be an old video. But we talked about her book called If Wool Could Talk. And here's a picture of June sitting at home, surrounded by art. And you see some of her men on pillows around her. I feel like when I saw them, they were rugs and they were hanging up at the library. And she must have afterward turned them into pillows, and she's just nestled right in there with them and with her dog. June Miles. I was a fan of June Miles rugs before I even met her. The subjects of her rugs were often animals, whimsical and brightly colored. Right, this is an earlier era. The men were a more recent era, like where she was just doing all portraits of men. Her work has a folk art quality that I admire and appreciate. Over the years, her rugs have also featured holiday celebrations, proverbs and sayings, and celebrations of food. And she has even created a series of hooked men of all shapes and sizes that, as she puts it, hang around my house. June's personality is part West Virginia country girl and part New York sophisticate, having lived in both places for periods of time. Even though she now spends most of her time in Connecticut, she is still deeply involved with both the college and her hometown in West Virginia. In Connecticut, she curates and exhibits at her local library, I think that's the Reading one, and is involved in many of their fundraising activities. In her home, June is always has a variety of four-footed friends in residence, and her Chinese crested dog is a constant companion. Oh. So there's more to that as there's more to all of these stories. And then we see the collage of June, and we see things that are familiar to us. And you know what, I think I have a slide of that page. Oh, pot with amaryllis. That makes sense too. That definitely makes sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Okay, so June, I had the photo there. I'm sorry, I had the photo right there. And this is one of the pages, right, with a couple of her men. Yeah, and I think I took, another picture of her here with her sort of Adirondack style stick furniture. There's that crested, what was it called? Crested Chinese? I forgot. I don't know that breed of dog. Absolutely beautiful. And then a rug behind her. Yeah, she's completely amazing. And, sorry, hiccups. And her finished piece is called June Miles at Home 2025, hand-dyed and recycled wool, novelty yarns and fabric, hand-hooked and reverse-hooked in linen. Hand-hooked and reverse-hooked. Huh. Okay, awesome. On linen, 78 by 52. You can see she has an earring that's like a little dinosaur. And a couple of her fur people on her lap. Really, really sweet. Oh man. Yeah, check out that episode if you haven't seen it yet, because just flipping through, making sure we're in the right place. Because that book, If Wool Could Talk, is that what it was? If Wool Could Talk, is a phenomenal book. Yeah, If Wool Could Talk. It's a phenomenal book. That's a book to look for. That's one of those collectible books. I don't know where you find it these days, because that show was a while back, and I bought it when I heard about it and when I met her. That's a really serious inspiration book and important for your library. All of these books are, right? Particularly the ones that are limited press are important for the library, because we are the crazy X-Men who are collecting like crazy books that won't be around forever and are finite. And these are the kind of books that, yes, this book costs $60, right? It's a limited print and it's a jewel. Somebody years from now is going to find this book and mark it 50 cents at a yard sale, right? Not knowing what it is. And if it doesn't sell, God knows what will happen to it. So it's important to grab these books when you can, because it doesn't get easier to find them as time goes on. If you're relying on eBay and Abe Books, Amazon used, it doesn't get any easier to find this stuff. So this one is, hold on just a second, Julie von Wetberg. Julie von Wetberg. And let me come here first and show you Julie. Oh man, I love what she's wearing. Pretty like scarf shawl, isn't it? It's really pretty. She's got one of her buttons on. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. One of these ribboned buttons. Really pretty. So Liz writes, the day I met Julie, I was selling her handmade ribbon jewelry. She was selling her handmade jewelry ribbon pins. Oh, I'd like to get a hold of one of those. They were neatly displayed at that year's Hook-In, a get-together for rug hooking artists where we socialize, exchange ideas, and share each other's artwork. As I gazed at Julie's pieces, trying to decide which one to buy, we struck up a conversation. Julie is one of the people I felt I had known for a long time, from the very first. It was an immediate connection, and we became fast friends. At that time, Julie was working as a journalist, writing for the AM news for Bloomberg Radio. She lived in Brewster, New York, which is a suburb of New York City, and maintained a rescue farm for large animals. She had to commute into the city in the early hours of the morning. Because the train didn't run that early, her employer would send a limousine to collect her and get her to work on time. On her way home, Julie would take the train. To pass the time on her commute, she would set to work creating her pins, utilizing an old technique she had learned from a family friend. Julie's portrait is based on a photograph I took of her on the train into New York City while we were attending an exhibit together. In the portrait, Julie wears one of her actual handmade pins as a tribute to her beautiful work. Framed by the window of the train, she is surrounded by symbols from her life. In each of the corners are images of a spinning wheel. She's an avid collector of spinning wheels. A couple of her rescued llamas, the converted barn that she calls home, the letter D for Dougal, her son, and her beloved husband, Jonathan, with his bagpipe. He's apparently a professional bagpiper. Jonathan was created using the technique of punch embroidery. The wool I used to make Jonathan's kilt in the portrait came from one of his own kilts and also appears in the circle that frames the portrait. I'll show you that larger. Julie has recently retired after 50 years as a journalist. Since then, she has become the newest member of the Hookworks group, a casual gathering of like-minded artists who get together, share ideas, and attend exhibitions. So let me show you this a little bit. That sounds like an amazing group, doesn't it? Let's look at this a little bit bigger. This is one of the ones that that Liz and I talked about when we were there with Haley. Just her story, right? Just living these two very separate and sort of parallel lives. And you can see she is wearing her pin in this picture, right? Just working, being picked up early, having this serious job in the city, and coming home to this converted barn and her collection of spinning wheels, her animals, her bagpiping, Jonathan. Absolutely beautiful story. And wait a minute. What is going on? Sorry. What's going on? I wonder. Something is going on. Sorry, hang on. Some technical stuff. Okay. There we go. This is the pin that's actually on her shirt right there, right? So this is a close-up of it. It's sideways. But these are the kinds of pins she was working on. I would love to get a hold of one of these beautiful pins. How relaxing and therapeutic it must be for someone who has this kind of a busy life, busy sort of intellectual life, to be then coming home to this completely different world and working on a gentle craft, needlecraft on the way home. Yeah, I love Julie's story, and I can relate to elements of it. Here is her son, Dougal, and her husband, Jonathan. Oh, I just love that picture. And the fact that some of his kilt is being used in it. Donald, where's your trousers? And these are some of her pins. I mean, I want some of these pins. Yeah, I don't think one would be enough. I want several of these pins. They are so beautiful. Oh, they are so beautiful. So, Julie's World. And hang on, I think I have. I'm gonna quickly show you two more because we're getting late, and I don't want to rush things. But we have an open house tomorrow, so and it starts early, so I'm gonna get going because I have to do some more work. My back is killing me, but I will get everything done. So I just want to show you Joan Alpert Rowan, and this is Liz's mom, and I'm gonna show you the part. So her mom is just so beautiful. She's got this picture of her mom. She's got this picture of her mom. Beautiful woman. Wow. And then of course, and she I think had an antique store, right? And then the collage, the inevitable collage that helps to synthesize all the different things about her mom. Well, I wonder if this is her mom in this advertisement. I wonder if that's why that's in there. Right there, you see what I mean? It's an advertisement for the gold card. I think that might be her mom. But yeah, just the sort of family photos, and it leads us to, I think, my favorite rug in the exhibit. At least one of them. I think this might be my favorite. Oh, wait a minute, this is Liz. Hold on, I'm not ready for that yet. I didn't put the mums in. We saw this in the video, but this is the mom. With that sort of antiquing background, sitting, and these are sitting with a collection of hat boxes, again in the garden, right outside, chair outside. So while some of the portraits that we're seeing are true portraits, right, that are a little bit different, one of the sort of main composition, I don't want to say tricks, but themes that we see is the character surrounded by things about the character, right? So there is that kind of blueprint of design that appears in many of them, but not all of them, right? We see Kimberly, the garden designer, does not have that. We saw, was it Kathy, the egg book, didn't have that. Let me just be sure. No, that was Jane Pollock. Kathy, Marilyn did have the frame, the photograph frame, and was surrounded. Jessie Turbain was more of a straight-on, at work in her studio, not as stylized. So some of them are more stylized than others. And I suppose at the end of the day, you know, who cares what my opinion is? But I love the stylized ones. I love the most. They just feel more magical to me. It's more. They feel like you really want to search the composition for the things that must be about the person, and it's a very active search, looking all over a rug this enormous. This rug was 83 by 47. Looking at a rug this size becomes a very active pursuit, and you find things, your eye finds things, and then you're trying to put the story together, which works differently for me than a stunning portrait. Still stunning, but you know what I mean, just a very different kind of a portrait. Because even the kind of chair, I mean, her mom must have loved to watch the birds, but even the kind of chair her mom is sitting in with that woven backing is really interesting. Look at how stylized the trees are in the background, just little wisps of trees, and the different birds who are coming, and the collection of potted flowers down below, right? Really interesting. And then the last one I had, this is not the last one in the book by any means, but Liz, of course, has a chapter. There's Liz working on one of her rugs, and she is working on a Puritan frame. Hold on just a second. Let me bring you back. Here. Nope. Here. Well, this is Liz's portrait. I'll show you that in the book too, but similar in shape and size to her mom. and also sitting outside in an Adirondack chair. Also the sandals, right? Very stylized background. This is an excerpt of this is on the cover of the book. There's a lot of um, um, I'm blanking out. When you do applique from behind, there's a lot of that in this piece. I'll show you in just a second. So some of it is like there's cut work and there's applique dropped in behind it. At the back of the book, in Liz's own chapter, you see what her process is for doing some of these, right? So you see how literal the transfer of ideas is. I think she does use trapunto, Judy, in one of them because it has that raised tomato, but I think not trapunto for this. I'm going to show you close up. I think it's just applique, like reverse applique. It's on the back of it, not on the front of it. I'm not sure if the term is reverse applique. I think you're going to know. I think you're definitely going to know. So this is her frame. And we saw how she sits with her frame. Everybody works differently, so she's got her frame underneath here. And people often ask the question, can you use, I mean, a Puritan is not an enormous frame. Can you use these kinds of frames for large pieces? Apparently so is the answer, right? And you can see how she has collaged the piece down. And that's how we're getting all the details. She has figured out where everything is going. She also shows us this. What is this? Is this that knitting spool? Is that what these things are? I wanted to ask you all. I think it's such a cute collection. So when I come back here, now hang on. Yeah, her chapter is really good. She's feeding her chickens, and there's just the whole back is her photographs, like her nature photographs and stuff. So cool. Yeah, one of the things I love about this piece is the background. You know, it's so stylized. We're seeing like I think water in the background maybe, and I'm not sure if this is literal, but all of the shapes in the background, obviously like a fantasy color palette, but it just works so well. The composition it's incredible. It's incredible. It's another one of these. It seems like it has to be its own genre, like fantasy. What would we call it? Fantasy. Let's think of an awesome name for, and these are the rugs in the book, right? So there's lots. Fantasy. I'm gonna have to think about it. For those rugs of hers that have that specific sort of recipe, where she's got the figure in it, and then she's just layering things about the figure that tell the story using the symbols of the person. Now, Judy, this is what I mean. Let me show you this close up. On the cover of the book is a close up of Liz's own piece, and you see how the plaids are recessed. It's like they're cut and dropped in behind, and just stitched on like that. And and there's a cat, right? This is just the cover, but that's what I mean. I'm wondering if that's reverse applique or if that's called something different, because you do have to cut away the backing material to do this. So, be ready to be comfortable with this. Be ready to get sewing, and and don't be too nervous about cutting it away, because obviously it's already hooked around there. So, lots of different techniques here. That's one of the things that really stood out in this exhibit, was the amount of different techniques that she used, from embellishments to, like she said, punch needle and needle felting, and the knitting spool. I mean, it's just crazy. I know, scary. Exactly. Scary. But yeah, it can be done. I think if I were going to do that, I would just hook around the edges and do that first, just in case something weird happened, and you wouldn't expect it to. You could be confident that it won't, but just in case something weird were to happen, you'd want to be sure that you hadn't hooked the whole piece, right? I'm sure it wouldn't be a catastrophe. I think you could make it okay in the end, but yeah, I would practice the technique before I did it on a rug that was already hooked. Now that I'm thinking of it, here it comes. Now that I'm thinking of it, ooh, okay, so when we look at rugs that look like they were taken out of like a dumpster, set on fire, run over by a truck, and then like put into an antique store for sale, those rugs that have a lot of loss, I wonder if for all of the spots on that kind of a rug, instead of restoring it or patching it somehow, wonder if you were to do the same, just cut to where you could legitimately cut and put fabric behind and stitch it in. Because if you did that, it would become like a mutant, right? It would be like a hybrid of a rug and an applique quilt. But you could do it in a way that, depending on the piece and where the loss was, that honors the original intention and design of the rug, but that also shores it up and makes sure that it's safe for many more generations. And what a challenge it would be to choose what to put there, right? Ooh, see, now I'm thinking of possibilities for rugs that I have in the basement that I just have mentally written off. Because, a lot of rugs are okay around the edges, but they have like a hole in the middle of them because a chair was on them or something like that, and it wore right through. And yeah, I mean, you could definitely do that with these kinds of rugs. That's really interesting, isn't it? That's something I really want to think about in the future. I'm going to add that to the list of craziness in the future. All right, let me get the Ben Franklins off. Let me just check for stuff. I think I'm going to lay on the floor for a minute, see if I can get my back to not hurt for 5 seconds. And then I better start sweeping up and going around this house, getting ready for the open house. Oh my God. I'm going to look back on these days and think, how did I do this? Like, how did I squeak through these incredibly long days doing housekeeping, like this level of housekeeping? So wish us luck this weekend. Something really good has to happen with the house, or we are going to have a catastrophe. See what happens next. But anyway, I hope that I will see you on Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, 4 to 6 Eastern Standard Time. I will be with you logging on. If you can't be there in person, you can still get it. You'll get it that night. It takes a couple hours after the class for the video to load because it's a very large file. And then I send it out to everyone who has signed up for it. So that is coming up. I hope I can see you in person. If not, I hope that you do it, that you do some great projects as a result, and that you share them. We're always looking for content for Magpie Times. Maybe next summer, Magpie, we could have a feature on stuff that comes out of this class, your own designs. I give you a lot of material to work with in this piece, so there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. You don't have to have a ton of original ideas. You will be able to follow along and come up with some stuff that you go, did I do that? And you're going to be surprised at what you come up with. I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to spending some time together on Sunday. In the meantime, tomorrow, have a great day, everybody. I will see you Sunday for the Design Light class. Otherwise, I hope to be with you on Monday for a show. Next week, I won't be on because Rebecca will be here. So you know what I'll do? Rebecca and I will run a show. I don't know if we'll run it on Friday. We'll be coming back from Newport. But Rebecca and I will do some kind of a show for you next weekend because we always do. So if you have any questions for Rebecca, send them beforehand. And yeah, I look forward to talking to her and figuring out what kind of a show we will be doing. And thank you so much. I need that. Good luck. I'm soaking it in. Somebody at Janet today at our group, she was from across the room. She was doing good vibes to me, good vibes, because she knew I was really stressed when I arrived. And I was doing the soak them in, soak them in, soak them in. You never know. You never know what's going to work. All right, I'll see you all on I'll see you all on Sunday for class, and hopefully again on Monday. We'll see how it goes. Everything is a little bit up in the air while we're having this crazy transition time. But have a great Saturday.